And welcome back to my channel. Unless you're new here, and that's just welcome. My name is Rusty, and this is my channel where I talk about my favorite movies, mostly horror, and my favorite music, mostly metal. And tonight we are going to talk about one of the best little hidden gems. I so love indie land, and this is what justifies it to me. I think you have to be a collector, a film collector, or a complete cinema junkie. I mean, I see so many channels in which, oh yeah, they hit every major release, and I'm like, okay, you hit every major release. I mean, of every genre, you just like one after another, this big Marvel film, this big Disney film, this big that, this big that. And I'm like, don't you ever just hang out in the back 40? You know what I mean? Hang out in the artsy cinema side instead of just mainstream, because there's so much good there that doesn't have a big advertising budget, that doesn't have commercials on TV or those fucking stupid streaming services, that don't have Facebook campaigns, that aren't released by Universal or Marvel or Disney or something. There is thousands and thousands of films released every year, and only 60 of them, 50 of them maybe, are everybody hears of. And I find that rather boring, to be honest with you, because what can you find if you go looking for reviews, discussions, or even critics? If you go looking for Alien Romulus or something like that, good luck with that, because you're going to have 280 videos a week on YouTube. Who you going to watch? You know what I mean? Well, I'm just going to go to my favorites and watch what they have to say about it. But there's fucking everybody, is doing the same movies, because everybody just sticks to the blockbusters. I don't do that. I'm all over the place. I like big mainstream releases, but I also live very happily in indie land, and this is one of the best little indie movies that I have come across in a long time, and this is called eXploited. Now, what is eXploited? That's a dude. It's not a fish tank. He's sitting in front of a big computer monitor. So, eXploited, in all my movie cred, I would have to say, if you took Basic Instinct and Unfriended Dark Web, that's right, Basic Instinct with Sharon Stone, and if you took that and you melded it with Unfriended Dark Web and then melded it with a slasher, that's eXploited. Now, eXploited was released in 2022, so it's a new movie. It was released in 2022, a little too short for me, but it's one of those few that I allow to go below my limit. Very few that falls below 190 minutes. If it's below 90 minutes, you're probably not going to get me. But this is one of the few ones that fall below 90 minutes that I do love. And it was released in 2022. It was directed by Jon Abrahams. It was written by Carl Moellenberg and Anthony Del Negro, which, hats off to you guys, okay? I love this fucking movie. It stars Jordan Vanderhoof. Nice name. Andrew Matthew Welch and Makenzie Vega. And yeah, eXploited is this. We are introduced to Camboy, who we find out his name later. We are introduced to Camboy, where we see this guy in what appears to be a college dorm, and it turns out that is what he is in, a college dorm room. We see this guy in a college dorm room, and he is obviously a OnlyFans type cam boy, and he is engaging with various freaks. He is engaging with various weirdos, doing various weird sexual things on cam. And you're kind of like shell-shocked, you know, because like it's only, you know, like within 8 minutes of this movie starting, you have seen complete nudity, sexual activity, very weird stuff. And so yeah, you're immediately like, uh-oh, we're shut the door and hit 80 miles an hour because we're obviously going on a ride with this shit. So yeah, there is a lot of male nudity in this movie. There's female nudity as well. But yeah, so we see this guy, and his name is Muscle Jock 99 or something like that. And one of the main ones that focuses on is this blonde chick who is paying him to do things to himself. You know what cam stuff is. So during this session, though, he is attacked by a gimp. If you know what a gimp is, it's like 50 Shades of Grey. It's the all black leather pants and the gimp mask, you know, on. So he is attacked, and it looks like he's being killed, and she is screaming, "Stop, stop, you're going to kill him," and stuff like that, and then it goes away. So you're kind of left thinking, well, he just got slashed. You know, he was like beaten in a big giant butcher knife, and so you think, well, he's dead. And we fast forward to a year later, in which we are introduced to Brian, Jordan Vanderhoof. Brian is moving in to college. It's his first year of college. So he's moving into college, and he's moving into that exact same dorm room. So he's brought there by his brother Jacob, and they move him into the room. He meets his roommate Jeremy. He meets Jeremy's cohorts, which is Janelle and Lexi. And the story is off and running. They settle into college life. They take him to a party, but right before they took him to a party, when you enter the dorm room, they give you a school flash drive. It's got, you know, the layout of the campus, resources, apps for the computer, for your computer, you know, for that school. And he went to put his clothes away in a drawer, and he pulled the drawer, and it fell on the floor. And another flash drive fell out, which he didn't really pay attention. He just put the stuff back in there, picked up the flash drive, laid it on his desk. Not really. I think he may have thought it was his, thought he had dropped it, but it actually came out of that drawer. So they go to this party, but right before they do, he had sat down at the computer, and he had stuck in the flash drive, but he put the one from the drawer, not his. So this is where the mystery begins. So nothing comes up. It looks like it's empty, but it says it's full. So he calls his brother, who's a computer genius, and is like, hey, I've got my flash drive that they gave me, because he's still thinking it's the one the school gave him. It's like, it says it's empty, but, I mean, it says it's full, but I can't see nothing. So the brother tells him what to do, and there it is, and so he looks in it, and it's video after video after video of that muscle guy, the cam boy. All of his sexual exploits and all of his cam sessions. It's like fucking 100 videos. So he is like freaked out, you know, because he's like watching this guy do all this stuff, and he even starts to, sing the divinal song, I Touch Myself. When Jeremy comes in with Janelle and Lexi and they take him to a party. So they go off to this party and we see the first hint that something's weird about Jeremy because Jacob, Brian's brother, is there at the party and he buys some weed off of him. But up there in the room, when Jacob and Jeremy are alone by themselves, Jeremy is saying some questionable things like, oh, well, you're, this is good weed, but you're not smoking it right. You're supposed to shotgun it. And it looks like he tries to kiss Jacob because, he is drunk and stoned off his ass. And it looks like he tries to kiss Jacob. And Jacob's like, whoa, dude. I know how to shotgun. You don't have to, explain it with your tongue. But you're going, wait a second, I thought Jeremy was with Lexi. Why is he trying to, or it's appeared like he tried to kiss Jacob. So that was a little weird. So they have this party. They go back to the room. Brian goes back to his room. And he's drunk off it. He is drunk and stoned as well. And he goes back into the room and climbs into bed. But then because he is so drunk and he's still thinking about that cam guy from the videos that he watched, he thinks he's having a dream, a sexual dream, because that cam guy climbs into bed with him and they screw. But when he wakes up the next morning, it wasn't the cam guy, it was Jeremy, who is supposed to be the boyfriend of Lexi. And they screwed because he's got scratches. Brian's got scratches on his back. So, it's like. So you're like, okay, is this Jeremy guy a closet case? Is that what this is? So he, of course, is still interested in these videos. So he tries to put that aside. Well, that was a little embarrassing. So he puts that aside and he goes back to these videos. He's very, very interested in these videos. And he gets to the very last one. And it was what we had seen at the beginning of the movie where he is attacked by that gimp. And he ends up calling his brother going, I think something really bad happened. Can I bring this to you? Because the file looks corrupted and stuff like that. And they start watching it at his house because he only lives 7 miles away, him and his grandmother, or 7 blocks away in that town. So his grandmother and his brother only live 7 blocks away from his college dorm room. So they go over there and they're finding this video and they indeed see that, but it's corrupted, the file's corrupted. You can't see all of it. He asked him, well, we'll keep investigating this. Because this Brian is really curious, who is this guy? What happened to him? Did he get killed? And his brother's like, well, I think if a college student got killed up there, we'd have heard about it or something, right? The police would have to know already. So it becomes this, like I told you, this basic instinct kind of mystery, who's doing what. Now, it's at this time that weird things starts happening to all of them. They seem to be getting texts and messages from each other that is come and meet me at so-and-so, and then the person gets there and they're like, I didn't tell you to come and meet me here. Well, it's your account and it said to meet you here. So somebody starts fucking with them that way. And it gets pretty intense because they start doing big stuff. Janelle is kind of fascinated with Lexi. So there's kind of lots of weird shit going on in this movie. And she even had hacked into a webcam to record Lexi and Jeremy engaged in sexual activity. But then now that all this stuff is happening, somebody hacked into her account, got those videos, and posted it in one of those sex websites. And then sent her to the link to it. So she's freaking out. Lexi finds out, you were filming me? I'm paraphrasing a lot of this. This mystery shit that's going on. So, I mean, you're really focused on this movie because there is a lot of weird shit happening. And it's very, very entertaining as far as your brain is like working. What is going on? Now, in this time, of course, Lexi has met this guy named Tommy, who's in the tech department, and he helped her fix her computer. And so we have an additional person in this circle of people. But she's with Jeremy, right? Well, that's not going to last long. Because, and it was a really interesting scene of this GIMP shit. Because Brian is sitting over there on his bed and Jeremy is sitting on his bed. And they're both on their laptops, right? Brian all of a sudden gets a message from Jeremy saying, do you want to screw again? I mean, he's right there, you know. And he looks over at him and he's typing away on the computer. And then he's like, okay. And then he gets another message that says, come over here and give me your mouth. And so he stands up and he walks over there and he kisses him on the side. And Jeremy's like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, what do you mean? You just told me to. And so they do end up like, he starts giving him a blowjob. In the meantime, though, GIMP guy, he had sent Lexi a message saying, meet me at the dorm room right now. I need to talk to you. So what do you think happens? She shows up. She walks in on it. Well, what you gonna do about that? She slaps Jeremy, walks out. That's it for that. Now, Janelle has had to admit to her that she's on a sex website with because she got hacked. So this dude, this GIMP guy, whoever this is like fucking with them big time. And they start thinking, Jeremy and his brother, Brian and his brother start thinking, we have got to see the rest of that last video. So he's like, I need the original, not the copies you made. I need the original flash drive. Which, see, Brian had thought the whole time that flash drive belonged to Jeremy. So he's like, well, I don't want to take it. He's already mad at me, from getting caught with the blowjob thing. So he goes and gets it, though. And then his brother, manages to decode it. And it's a Jeremy. He sees that video and he decodes that last video. And being, where that cam boy was having his ass beat and being stabbed. And it takes the GIMP mask off and it's Jeremy. And so Jacob is like, it's your roommate, right? So he calls his brother and he's like, you got to get over here right now. Because, oops, there it is. So you're like, oh, fucking Jeremy is some kind of psycho then, right? So all of a sudden, and Jeremy had also punched Brian in the face when they got caught. So talk about deflection. So now the mystery is really got you wrapped into this movie because you're just like, I don't understand what's going on. This is some really good writing, So Brian ends up he doesn't know at that moment that Jacob had found out that it was Jeremy who was beating up that boy. And he had told Janelle because Janelle had stopped by all upset because Lexi's mad at her, Jeremy's mad at him, everybody's mad at each other because of all of these weird texts that have been doxing shit about each other and setting them up and manipulating them. So he shows Janelle those videos. And Janelle recognizes that guy. She's like, yeah, he was here last year. He transferred to another college. But he's alive. I mean, to my knowledge, he's alive. His name is Caleb. So now they know who the guy's name is. He tells Jacob who it was, and Caleb's like going to find out everything about him because he's like a computer hacker. So he's going to find out everything about him. Finds out he's on the wrestling team, hence his name, Wrestling Jock 99, whatever, on cam. So he's on the wrestling team. Jeremy's on the wrestling team of his college. So there's going to be a matchup here later. So now that they know who Jeremy is, now that they know who Caleb is, and Jacob has his thing, that's when he sees that last video and tells Brian about it. But instead of him being able to tell Brian, when he tries to, Brian is sitting there by himself, and a message pops up, and it's that Gimp guy, and he's got Jacob tied up in a chair and is tasing him in the head. I'm going to kill him if you do not bring me that hard drive. So this Gimp guy has found out that they have found those videos, right? And he wants them all dead. Hence the slasher part. So he's going to kill Jacob, but Brian runs down the block and takes the thing to him, the original file, because he's copied it all anyway. So he gives him the original file, breaks into the room, frees Jacob, who is busted up pretty bad. At the same time, we have someone knocking on Janelle's door, and that was pretty gross, because when she goes to answer the door, she looks through the peephole, and he literally tases her through the peephole, and it like fries her face and busts her eye and shit. That was pretty gross. So now everybody's freaking out. First of all, they think it's Jeremy. So Lexi and Brian go and finally confront Jeremy, who has said, oh, because of all the trouble, I'm going to move out and go stay home for the rest of the term. Well, they go and confront him. And the plot thickens, honey, because when they confront him about, we saw you on that video beating up that guy. Where is he? No, he's alive. Well, what did you do that for? He breaks down and tells them what he did that for. First, he admits, I am a closet case. I'm really gay. Second of all, that Caleb guy, at the direction of someone, raped me on video. And this movie shows it. As he retells the story, he tells the story about being raped, and it's the nudity in this movie, and there's so much of it, but the nudity in this movie, another interesting thing I found out about this movie, the nudity is so appropriate. When it's funny nudity, it's funny. When it's romantic nudity, it's romantic. And when it's violent nudity, it's violent. Because the rape scene in this movie of Jeremy is very graphic. And it is more graphic than the remake. I don't know if it would quite be as graphic as the original I Spit on Your Grave. I don't think you could call it as graphic as that. But the remake, which was toned down, the remake, this is more graphic than the remake of I Spit on Your Grave. The rape scene is very, very... So not only was he raped by Caleb, he was raped by that blonde woman. She was directing it with like a horsewhip in her dominatrix suit. She was right there in the room directing Caleb's rape of Jeremy. So you're like, okay. So Jeremy says, that's all I've done. I did track Caleb down, and I did beat the shit out of him in a gimp suit. But that's all. I did not do all of this other stuff. So you're like, Okay, so you thought Jeremy was doing all of this, but it turns out Jeremy is a victim of all of this as well. Not to mention, he got brutally and violently raped by this Caleb guy at the direction of that blonde-headed woman. It's at this time, while they're watching the videos again, that they all recognize that blonde-headed woman. It's the professor at their college. 3 New York Times best-selling physics professor. Not only is she a perv doing dominatrix cam stuff, not performing herself, but paying performers, but she like oversaw a rape. So now you start going, well, okay, if Jeremy wasn't doing this, his only revenge was beating the shit out of Caleb, which made you go, that's the reason why that blonde woman screamed, stop, stop, you're going to hurt him, is because, you know, she was in on all of it. She was part of it. She wasn't just a customer of his. She knew him personally. So now that we know this, who is it? Brian and Lexi are sitting there when they get a message on the computer. They're all 3 sitting there after this big explosion of what had happened. They get a message from the GIMP guy, and it's got Janelle. Remember, her eyes busted and she's burnt all and shit. She's in a chair, and the GIMP directs them to come to the professor's mansion, or Janelle's going to die. So they all go to the mansion. So you have Lexi and Brian and Jeremy. They go to rescue Janelle. They get there. There is a lot of really intense action. And Jeremy gets separated from them. And that woman, she comes out with a shotgun. And she's like, y'all were really stupid to try to rob me. And they're like, we're not here to rob you. We were told to come here because of Janelle and all of that. And that's when she goes, you're the kids who have my videos. And you're like, oh, shit. So it's her? She's the one doing all this? So she tries to kill them. I mean, she tries to shotgun kill them. They manage to knock, who is it? She knocks, and then there's the GIMP. He shows up. So who is this GIMP? It must be that Caleb guy, right? So the GIMP, like, knocks Brian out, and Lexi knocks the shotgun from the doctor, and they run out into the yard, and she's that close from being killed, because that doctor is pissed off and wants them all dead, and is strangling her to death, when all of a sudden, Tommy appears out of nowhere, and hits the doctor with a big rock or something, and it kills her dead. So the doctor's laying there dead, Lexi is almost dead, and Tommy's like, it's okay, I've saved you, and stuff like that. When all of a sudden we see Caleb come running around the building, running towards them, screaming, you know, what did you do? What did you do? Did you kill her? And then Brian blows a big hole through him with that shotgun. Very graphic. Very good graphic, too. All of this stuff is practical effects, and low-budget indie movie. They did a really good job, because that shotgun blast was what the fuck. So Caleb's dead. The doctor's dead. So you're like, okay, so the doctor was the ringleader of all of this. The doctor is the one who had been setting up all this cam stuff. She found out that these kids had found Caleb's tapes with her on them. She wants them all dead, so she's the one who's done all this. So everything is fine, right? we're moving back in to the dorm. College, the next semester is starting. We see that now Jeremy and Brian are together. He's no longer in the closet. They're together. Lexi is with Tommy. Janelle is still alive, but blinded. And everything's good, right? No, I don't think Janelle was alive. I think she was killed in the house. She was the one of them that did get killed. But, so everything is fine, and you kind of think that the movie is over, right? We know the secret. We know what everything has happened and why. And it makes sense. So, we see Lexi sitting on the couch. You know, Grandma and Jacob comes and welcomes Brian and Jeremy into their dorm room, and you're so cute, and y'all are such a cute couple, and all that kind of shit. And then Lexi is with Tommy, and they're living together, and she's like writes them asking for a selfie. So she asked him for a selfie, so you see them go, oh, she's asking for a selfie. So they take a selfie and they send it to her. So they're sitting there back and forth, Brian and Jeremy and Lexi, about just life, you know, you're so cute and love you and see you later and stuff like that. But she notices something, and that is that every time she sends a message to one of them, or they send a message to her, she hears bloop. And so she finally looks over there and is like, it's Tommy's laptop. So she like sends another message, and it bloop. So she gets up there and she walks over there to his laptop, and she's just like, and every time she sends something, it pops up in his computer. But she's not talking to him, she's talking to them. She opens up that laptop, and there it all is. He was very stupid to do that. But there it all is, man. She sees all these accounts, clone accounts of her, Janelle, Brian, Jeremy, the doctor, Caleb, all of them are on his laptop. He's got clone accounts of theirs. He can basically log in and use their accounts just like they do. So he's cloned all of their logins and stuff on his computer. She looks in his documents, and there's all those videos. Not only is there all those videos, but there's even more videos, and it's him. It's him. He was the one directing everything. It wasn't even the doctor. The doctor was being blackmailed by him. Caleb was being blackmailed by him. He's the one who made them go and rape Jeremy. He was watching. She wasn't directing it. He was directing it. And then right there in front of Lexi, looking at his computer while he's in there taking a shower, he takes the Gimp mask off in the video, and it's Tommy. So you're like, fuck. No way. I love how these little indie movies can be so good and like trip you up, and you're like, don't see it coming. Because at first you thought it was Jeremy, and it made sense. Then you found out all this other shit, and you're like, okay, well, it's the doctor and Caleb, and that made sense. And then you find out that none of it was any of them. They were all being manipulated by this psycho. So he comes out of the shower, and she has taken that laptop and got the hell gone. He comes out, nothing but a towel, like looking around, going, where are you? Honey, where are you? And he looks over there, and his laptop is gone. And he runs over there, and he starts screaming, very, very Norman Bates kind of screaming, no, no. And he starts screaming, no. And then the movie goes off. And you're like, oh shit, what did she do, man? Did she take that to the cops? I hope she took it to the cops. But it made you like feel kind of bad, because Caleb wasn't the Gimp at the doctor's mansion. It was Tommy. So when Caleb showed up, he had probably gotten a text telling him to show up there too, just like all the others did. So even though the doctor, and this is what I mean by it, even though the doctor did a bad thing and was a very bad person, she did try to kill them after all, to get her videos back to protect her career. But she was still being blackmailed. It's very, very bad what they did to Jeremy, her and Caleb did to Jeremy. But when you find out that they did not do it of their own volition, that they were forced to do it by Tommy, you kind of feel sorry. It's hard to feel sorry for a rapist. So I'm not trying to say that. I'm just trying to say, how do you explain it then? You weren't as satisfied with their deaths as you were when you thought they were the ones who did all this. To find out that they too were victims of a sort made you feel a little sorry for them. But yeah. So you are left wondering, hey man, did she go to the cops with that? She had to go to the cops with that. That's some shit to find out about your boyfriend. So, girls had it rough for the last year, I can tell you that, with all the shit that's happened to her. But, but there was a happy ending for the two guys anyway. There was a happy ending for them. But I think Brian's going to feel really bad about having killed Caleb now because he was not the Gimp. So I don't know. When you think about it, there's lots of really deep stuff to think about, how finding out that all of them, including the doctor and including Caleb, were being blackmailed and manipulated by this Tommy guy, it does change things. And Brian's going to have to deal with the fact that he put a shotgun hole through Caleb when Caleb was not the Gimp. So I don't know. Yeah. This movie made me think. But yes, so that was eXploited 2022. I'm very, very glad to have this in my collection. I've already watched it like 3 times since I got it. I do love this movie because it really, once you understand everything that went on, the movie is really, really good. And I do want to shout out to Carl Moellenberg and Anthony Del Negro. You wrote a really nice mystery story. Psychological thriller, slasher, cam genre. So like I said, now that I've told you this, you can see why I said it's like you took Basic Instinct, Unfriended Deep Web, and a slasher, and you put them all together. Now, this movie had a lot of slasher vibes in it. And I can't praise it enough. I gave it 8.5 out of 10, or a 9 or something. Yeah. I absolutely love this movie, and when I do, like I told you at the beginning, when I do find something like this, I am reminded of why I have so much fun in indie land. I watch, we just did Abigail. I watch the big releases and I can love them too. But if you ignore indie land, you miss stuff like this. You miss stuff like the little independent horror movies that are so well done and so well written. I think my battery is leaking. But you think that it would make me very sad to have missed this. And if I just paid attention to mainstream movies, I would not have seen this. There's so many movies that I would not have seen. So, yes, that was eXploited 2022. You can get it at Amazon. I absolutely love it. I think you can see it free on something. Tubi, Vudu. But yeah, I absolutely love this movie. I don't think they would cut it up on Tubi. I know they wouldn't cut it up on Vudu. But, yeah, I really, really love this movie. And I will see you in the next thing I do, which will be It's a Wonderful Knife. And, yeah. Love you, miss you, bye. Exploited, fantastic indie horror movie. Or psychological thriller / horror movie. This is very, very good. Great actors. Have never seen any of them to my knowledge. They were very good acting. Like I said, the cinematography was very slashery. The director did a fantastic job. The writers are beyond. I mean, that was a really good story. A really good mystery. The twists just blew me away. There were what? Jeremy, then them. So there were 3 big, gigantic twists. And I didn't see any of them coming. So, yeah. Exploited 2022. Love you, miss you, bye. See you in the next video. Always remember, never forget, you're a very, very special person. Never let anybody tell you any different. And watch what you do online. If Dark Web didn't take care of that little problem, this damn movie will definitely make you watch social media a little bit more carefully. Love you. Miss you. Bye-bye. See you later.